Here we are in Guadalajara with Mr. Rodolfo Fernandez Jimenez. He accepted an invitation by Siembra Azul to talk to us about the history and the culture of this fascinated and sophisticated industry. Enjoy it.
Well, I was born in Guadalajara. My family and my ancestors have been here probably since most of them from the 16th century. And I've been involved in doing history of central Jalisco area. And somehow I got thrilled with the tequila world. And about 10 years ago, I was invited to do a little tequila museum. And so we got involved into the museum work, and from the museum work I just went, as they say in the US, bananas. I just went crazy. And I've been slowly studying that. Now my main project at the institution I work for, it's about tequila.
Tell us about your upcoming visit to the Northeast.
We will be touring Philadelphia, Washington, and New York. And the purpose of the visit is, as you mentioned, to promote the taste for the good tequila in the United States. The recovery of its history. The history of tequila has been attempted in several occasions in the last probably 30, 40 years, but then most of the histories of tequila have been designed by the sponsor. And nowadays we're working on the history of tequila from a neutral point of view, which means we want to do history about everything that happened in the Tequila Amatitan area from the 16th century on, and a lot has been discovered, especially, for instance, that Amatitan is as important as tequila in the history of the vino mezcal, the tequila it used to be called in the old days. Actually, the name tequila alone is probably, I don't know, 50, 60 years old. As you can see in the old bottles, it always says vino mezcal de tequila. Mexicans call vino to what in English you would call liquor or spirits. And somehow Mexicans do not distinguish between distilled alcohols and fermented alcohols.
What is about tequila that fascinates people?
I don't know, the taste, the look, the landscape. Also it has been sort of an element of gathering not only of traditions but also of stereotypes. Sophisticated people, I should say, because they are looking for better tequilas and not for fancier tequilas all the time. The knowledge about tequila is helping people to be able to distinguish between the tequilas that are overly fancy because of the bottles they have and the prices they offer you at, and the tequilas that are good because they are well made, and they are made also in terms of not only the traditional ways of making it, but they are refining the ways of making tequila, I believe.
And tell us a little bit about the perception of the sophisticated niches in the United States about tequila.
As we are going to be in the New York, Philadelphia, and Washington areas, is where a lot of the sophisticated consumers of fancy products gather. And in Mexico, you don't get that much of such crowds. And therefore, you're going to be able to impulse further the taste for good tequila with such an interesting audience. And that's an area of the world where a lot of the sophisticated drinkers are, and a lot of the money to pay for that sophistication. And Mexico is beginning, and evidently people are more and more trying to learn how to drink tequila. They are trying to learn to drink other spirits and wines. And I don't know, when there is money, people tend to become sophisticated. And also there is some sort of snobbery behind that. But so what? Let's go for it, because that snobbery creates knowledge sometimes.
How different is the perception of tequila in Mexico?
In Mexico? Well, everyone knows about tequila in Mexico. And everyone will have a very good tequila for you. Especially if you are from Jalisco, they will always tell you, oh, I want some tequila. Oh, sure. They'll answer and they say, I have this guy who makes this beautiful tequila, and it comes in plastic bottles. And it's terribly common to find that sort of situation, even among better off people. And nowadays things are changing, and we have to divide sort of two tendencies. There is one tendency who are after better tequilas, and there is another tendency of people, among people who are after more expensive tequilas. Both types produce impression among guests in the houses they go visit to. And now we're focusing especially on those who are willing to understand better tequila, to know how to drink it better, and to make it better through better demand, I should think.
What do you think your audience will be?
Well, people that are, as you said, aficionados to tequila, which I love the word because it probably it's the land from the cigar world, and but it fits very, very well to the people who have discovered they love tequila and they want to know more about tequila, and then they want to know more about the history of tequila, which we are discovering every time, every day. I'm talking like a German, they say every time instead of every day. Every day is becoming more and more interesting, especially because of all the people that we are finding who are very, very outstanding. And also we have been discovering new ways in the history of tequila. For instance, we have already been able to distinguish two basic traditions only on the tequila part of the tequila world, if you can call it such, like the Amatitan tradition of making tequila and the tequila tradition of making tequila. And one of them, for instance, is the containers in which the mosto is fermented. In the case of tequila, is done in wooden containers, and in the case of Amatitan, it was done in hide containers, which reminds somehow the containers that are used to ferment pulque. And probably that would link the production of tequila to older times when pulque was made, also here perhaps, but always, in central Mexico they always use those hides for the fermentation to sort of help it out. Wow. Salud. Mira, we have an agave in the glass. Thank you very much, and the same with you.